This video was brought to you by NordVPN. On Wednesday, Pakistan launched a series of missile strikes into Iran, in what might be the first officially acknowledged state-level bombing of Iran since the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s. While the Pakistan Foreign Ministry claimed that they were directed at separatist terror groups operating out of Iran, they were clearly intended as a retaliation for Iran's own missile strikes in Pakistan a day earlier. Now, both Iran and Pakistan have long accused the other of harbouring terrorists in their border regions, especially around Balochistan, a region of desert and mountains that spans 3 countries. But while Iran has conducted occasional low-level anti-terrorism operations there in the past, we've never seen something as aggressive as Tuesday's strikes, and Iran-Pakistan relations have usually been sufficiently cordial to prevent escalation. So in this video, we're going to look at the missile strikes between Iran and Pakistan, and explain how this escalation is being fueled by both a wider downturn in Iran-Pakistan relations and a genuine renewed anxiety about terrorism in the region. Before we start, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell to stay in the loop and be notified when we release new videos. So let's just get straight into what's happened over the past couple of days. On Tuesday, Iran launched a series of missile strikes across Iraqi Kurdistan, Syria and Pakistan. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, commonly known as the IRGC, said the attacks were aimed at anti-Iranian terrorist groups and claimed that they'd hit an Israeli Mossad espionage centre in the Iraqi city of Erbil. In Iraqi Kurdistan and Syria, the rest of the strikes were targeted at ISIS bases, presumably as retaliation for the ISIS suicide bombing carried out in Kerman earlier this month. In Pakistan, the strikes were targeted against the Jaish al-Adl, or JAA, terrorist bases in the Pakistani border region of Balochistan, presumably as retaliation for the group's deadly attack last month at a police station in the Iranian province of Sistan and Balochistan. In an attempt to preempt criticism that it had violated national or state sovereignty, Iran said the attacks were no different from the assassination operations sometimes carried out by the US across the Middle East, and Iran's president, Ebrahim Raisi, said there is no more important issue for Iran than its security. Unsurprisingly, this didn't fly with Pakistan. The Pakistani foreign minister reacted by condemning the unprovoked violation of its airspace that allegedly killed 2 children, warning of serious consequences and reiterating Pakistan's right to defend itself. A day later, on Wednesday morning, Pakistan downgraded its diplomatic relations with Iran, recalling its ambassador from Tehran and expelling the Iranian envoy in Islamabad. Joint naval exercises between the 2 countries were also called off. Then, on Wednesday evening, Pakistan launched retaliatory strikes, apparently targeted at 2 Baloch separatist groups, namely the Balochistan Liberation Front, or BLF, and the Balochistan Liberation Army, BLA. The strikes were confirmed by Pakistan's foreign ministry on Thursday morning, who confirmed they had undertaken, quote, a series of highly coordinated and specifically targeted precision military strikes against terrorist hideouts in Sistan-o-Balochistan province of Iran, in what Pakistan described as an intelligence-based operation. It's hard to stress just how massive news this is. Not only does this mark a serious escalation in both the Middle East and specifically between Pakistan and Iran, but it's actually the first officially acknowledged state-level bombing of Iran since the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s. Like Iran did earlier, Pakistan tried to preempt international criticism of the strikes, stating that Pakistan still, quote, fully respects the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and insisting that the attacks were exclusively motivated by Pakistan's own security and national interest. Unsurprisingly, this didn't fly with Iran. On Thursday morning, Iranian state TV said 3 women and 4 children had been killed, and a few hours later, Iran's foreign ministry put out a statement condemning the attack as a violation of Iran's sovereignty. So, what's going on? Well, the proximate cause of Iran's strikes were those JAA terrorist attacks in Iran last month, and even if the Pakistani foreign ministry denies it, Pakistan's response was obviously a retaliation against Iran's original strikes. Both countries are also doing this to show force and flex their geopolitical muscles, which plays well domestically and signals to other international players that they're not to be messed with. But there are also two more structural reasons behind this recent tension. First, it comes amidst a wider deterioration in Iran-Pakistan relations. While there's always been a bit of blame game between the two countries over the recurring terror attacks along the Iran-Pakistan border, and ideological tensions between Shia-majority Iran and Sunni-majority Pakistan do flare up occasionally, the two countries have generally had relatively cordial relations recently. Former Prime Minister Imran Khan made efforts to improve ties with Iran, even offering to serve as a mediator between Iran and Saudi Arabia in their ongoing proxy conflict, and relations were further smoothed over by China, who's become arguably both countries' most important strategic partner. However, in the past year or so, relations have deteriorated, for basically two reasons. First, there's been an uptick in terrorist activity in Balochistan, which has restarted the blame game. Second, since Imran Khan's removal in 2022, Pakistan has pivoted away from China towards the US, as evidenced by Pakistani Chief of Army Staff Asim Munir's recent trip to the US, which has irked Iran. But the second structural reason is that both countries are genuinely worried about the renewed threat of terrorism in the Middle East and its surroundings. The political and regional instability we're currently seeing could create new terrorist threats, in much the same way that instability in Syria and Iraq facilitated the emergence of ISIS. ISIS has been a real issue for Iran ever since, carrying out terrorist attacks on the Iranian parliament and Ayatollah Khomeini's mausoleum in 2017. For context, ISIS is a Sunni Muslim organisation, while Iran is Shia majority, and ISIS has claimed the attacks were punishment for its, quote, polytheism and apostasy. Iran has already seen the most deadly terrorist attacks in years earlier this month, when nearly 100 Iranians were killed by two ISIS suicide bombers during a memorial for Qasem Soleimani, who played a crucial role in the fight against ISIS in Iraq and Syria. While Iran is anxious about a resurgence of ISIS, Pakistan is similarly anxious about the return of the Pakistani Taliban, or TTP, the most significant terrorist group in Pakistan. When the Afghan Taliban returned to power in 2021, Pakistani officials tried to convince them to crack down on the TTP and other terror groups, but the exact opposite has happened. Operating out of Afghanistan, the TTP have been able to escalate their attacks in Pakistan, and things got so bad that last year Pakistan ordered the mass expulsion of all the 1.7 million Afghans living in Pakistan. So you get the idea. While there are more immediate triggers to the recent missile strikes, they're also occurring in the context of a wider downturn in Iran-Pakistan relations and a general uptick in terrorist activities in the region, which has exacerbated both countries' geopolitical anxieties. Whatever the future may hold, it will always be important to keep yourself safe online. Fortunately, when it comes to your digital safety, NordVPN has your back. It's an unfortunate reality that online scams and phishing attacks are on the rise, with us constantly bombarded by annoying notifications and emails that we forgot we even signed up to. It's easy to click the wrong link. One seemingly innocent link can compromise security and bring things crashing down. With the protection of NordVPN though, you can use their threat protection feature to identify potentially suspicious links. Even if you reached a suspicious website, NordVPN's data encryption tools would protect you and your data against a number of other attacks, such as malicious man-in-the-middle breaches. But if things do go wrong, NordVPN's dark web monitoring is always scanning for your compromised details across the entire internet, and can even notify you before you even notice anything's gone wrong. So if you want to securely connect to that free Wi-Fi at your local coffee shop without worrying about someone trying to take a peek at your personal data, you can sign up for a 2-year plan with a massive discount and 4 months free at nordvpn.com/TLDR. We've been told that sometimes our viewers just open a new tab and type in the URL themselves, and while we're certainly glad that you're using the service, you only get the discount and support the channel through that link. So if you wish to get the discount and support independent journalism further, make sure you sign up using our link. That's nordvpn.com/TLDR. Thanks for your support.